welcome to our deep dive today.
Uh-huh.
We're going to be looking at something you probably haven't thought much about.
Okay.
Majority voting. It seems so simple, right? You just raise your hand, count the votes, and you're done.
Yeah.
But we're going to explore how this age-old system actually might have a really powerful modern alternative.
Okay.
And get this, it's thanks to some pretty cool math.
Math.
Yeah.
When you said majority voting, I was picturing town halls and, ballot boxes.
Right.
Not equations and algorithms.
I know, right? But stick with me here.
Okay.
Our journey starts with this idea of the wisdom of crowds,
Okay.
which has been around for centuries. And most people are actually surprised to learn that even Aristotle was thinking about this stuff way back in ancient Greece.
Aristotle. Really? Wow. That's going way further back than I would guess.
He was. In his work, Politics, Aristotle actually talks about how collective judgments can be surprisingly accurate.
Interesting.
But it wasn't until the 18th century that we got a more formal framework for thinking about this. And we can thank a brilliant French mathematician and philosopher named Condorcet for that.
Condorcet, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Didn't he come up with some theorem about juries?
Exactly. That's it.
Okay.
Called Condorcet's jury theorem.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the cornerstones of our understanding of majority voting.
Okay, so refresh my memory. What exactly does the theorem say?
It basically lays out the conditions under which majority voting is likely to lead to the right decision. So imagine you have a group of jurors, and each one has to make a yes or no decision.
Okay.
The theorem says that if each juror is more likely to be right than wrong,
Okay.
and they're all deciding independently, then the majority vote will get you closer to the truth.
That makes intuitive sense to me.
Right.
If you've got a bunch of people who are generally good at making judgments,
Yeah.
and they're not just copying each other,
Uh-huh.
then the majority is probably going to be on the right track.
Right.
What's fascinating, though, is that this idea goes all the way back to the 1700s.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how long we've been grappling with these ideas of collective decision-making.
Yeah.
But here's the catch,
Okay.
and it's a big one.
Uh-oh.
Condorcet's jury theorem relies very heavily on this assumption of error independence.
Error independence. So, everyone's making their own mistakes.
Yes.
Not being swayed by the same things.
Precisely.
Okay.
Think of it like choosing a restaurant from a menu.
Okay.
Error independence
Yeah.
would mean that everyone's picking based on their own individual preferences. They're not just following the crowd
Okay.
or being influenced by what their friends are ordering.
Right. Okay. I get the analogy.
Okay.
But in real life, people are swayed by all sorts of things.
Right.
What they see on social media, what their family and friends think, even just their own preconceived notions.
Exactly. And that's where the potential problems with majority voting start to surface.
Yeah.
It's not always so simple as everyone independently weighing the evidence and reaching their own conclusions.
So where do we go from here? If this idea of error independence is so often violated in the real world, does that mean majority voting is just inherently flawed?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's where our deep dive takes an unexpected turn.
Interesting.
We're about to explore a groundbreaking paper that introduces a potential alternative to majority voting. One that uses some surprisingly sophisticated math, specifically algebraic geometry,
Oh, wow.
to try to overcome these limitations.
Algebraic geometry and voting.
I know.
Now, that's a combination I never would have expected.
Right?
You've definitely piqued my curiosity.
Okay.
Tell me more.
So get ready for some aha moments.
Okay.
Because we're about to enter the world of algebraic evaluation, or AE.
Oh.
It's a whole new way of thinking about how we assess information and make decisions. And it all starts with understanding how AE analyzes patterns of agreement and disagreement.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Right.
Walk me through this.
Okay.
How does analyzing patterns lead to better decisions than simply counting votes?
It's all about understanding the nuances beneath the surface.
Okay.
So imagine you have a group of, say, 3 people
Okay.
making yes or no decisions on a series of questions. AE doesn't just tally up the votes. It dives into the patterns of agreement and disagreement.
Okay.
It looks at how often they all agree, how often 2 agree, while 1 disagrees, and every other possible combination.
So instead of just seeing the final vote count,
Yes.
you're digging into the details of who agreed with whom.
Exactly.
And in what situation.
Exactly. And by analyzing these patterns,
Okay.
AE allows us to do 2 very important things that traditional majority voting can't.
Okay.
First, it can calculate how accurate the group is as a whole. And second, it can actually estimate how accurate each individual person is.
That's pretty amazing. But why is this so important?
Because it gives us a much more nuanced and insightful understanding of the decision-making process.
Okay.
We can start to see who's consistently making good judgments, who might be prone to errors,
Okay.
and even when those errors might be correlated, meaning they're being influenced by the same biases.
Ah, so this is where that error independence issue comes back into play.
Yes.
If AE can detect when people are being swayed by the same things, that could be incredibly valuable.
You got it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the potential of AE.
Wow.
But I think we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah.
Let's take a pause here and let our listener digest this fascinating new way of thinking about voting and decision-making.
Sounds good.